So I just copied the details, from the Google. Okay. So this is mainly, we have a different types of tables. Okay. And here, why this is necessary? Because generally, we will not use all these tables, but in case if really needed is, we can use the temporary tables. Okay. And already if you guys, here is the first point, if you see, right, this permanent table. Okay. So this permanent table always we will have, I mean, even so far we have created, permanent table. Even today in our practice, whatever we have created, right, so those are all permanent tables. Okay. And here if you see, the key feature is, okay, this is applicable for the time travel for 90 days, and fail safe is, okay, 7 days. Disaster recovery best for critical data. Okay. So fail safe also we will discuss here. Okay. What is fail safe, that also we will discuss. And if you say the persistence means, what is the stage of this table, status of this table, or generally we can call what it does actually. Okay. Persist until explicitly dropped means the table, once you created, right, it will be there until you dropped. Correct. This is generally, that is the behavior of permanent table. So here, let me, I will say, so whatever here we have created, right? These are all, okay. Student table. Okay. These are all permanent tables, whatever we create. So here the data, right? This data will be permanently store the data. Okay. Until unless we drop the tables. Okay. And okay, here in this database, right? Whatever you have seen here, okay, these tables are permanent tables. Whatever here you see permanent tables, 45 we created, right? These are all not 45, some tables we created here. These are all permanent tables. Okay, so these tables we created, and until unless you drop, right, these tables are will be existed, and for this we have to pay the money to the client. I mean, so whoever providing this software, right? For them, we need to provide. How to provide and all means, okay. Everything now is very simple. You need to pay, use this, and pay the money. It's kind of a rental. Okay, so you are using the software and storage and everything. You are taking into the rental agreement, and you will be paying the money for each month. For example, you have taken the Azure, okay, plus Snowflake, right? Here, okay, so here you will be paying money to Azure, okay. Azure will pay money to Snowflake, okay, and vice versa. If you are directly connecting with the Snowflake, then you will be paying money to, okay, I mean this guy Snowflake will pay money to Azure. It is kind of a vice versa. Either you connect with them or you connect with them. So generally these both uh, will have an agreement, or you directly connect with AWS, okay, and ask them the Snowflake. Here what will happen, this is also same, this is okay. So whatever the data here storing, right, okay, the data storing is how you are storing the data via table format only, right? Via table format. And in this table format, total table format whatever we created, those are permanent tables, right? Those are all permanent tables which we have created. So these are the permanent tables. How do we know whether this is a permanent tables means? Generally, if you see, where is this? These are all permanent tables only. And the permanent tables, you can see it here. See. Okay. And in case, no, I want to see whether it is a permanent table or not. Means you go here a definition and check. Here you will identify create or replace table. So sometimes, okay, in interview, right, they may ask to confuse you guys. How do I check whether this is permanent table or any other kind of table? Generally, they will ask the question. Okay. In this case, you need to tell yes. If you want to know whether it is a permanent table or not, then go to the database and go to the respective schema. And when you right click, right, you will get the customer details and definitions columns. If you go to the definition, you will find you will know the, okay, here create or replace the table definition. By seeing the table definition, we can identify whether it is a permanent table, whether it is a some other table. Like that, you need to explain. To do that, okay, we know to check whether it is a permanent table or not by seeing here. But the explanation is very important. Okay, that you need to practice. Hmm? So this particular table, okay, always this particular table, what it is, the permanent table is, okay, the permanent table will be stored under database, okay, and this will contains the data. It means the you will have two things here, right? One is table information. Table information means what? Metadata. Okay, this is contains metadata, and this will be stored under database. Plus, you will be inserting the data, right? That data, okay, data. So for data, you need to pay the money to either Azure, either AWS, either Snowflake. Okay, so this you have to pay them. Okay, so there are two things already we have discussed. One is data storage. For data storage, you need to pay the money. One is for data storage, you need to pay the money, and for the processing, you need to pay the money. Okay. So these things, this is nothing but we called as computation. Okay. Computing, we will say computing. Hmm? For this, you need to pay the money. So this is what this is something DML statements. Okay. These are all DML statement. Whatever you are processing, right? These are all DML statements plus DDL statements. And this is what mainly storing the data. Okay. Storing the data in database. So you guys should know each and everything. Okay. So this is how we will be, I mean, they will be costing to us every time, okay, and we will pay the money and every month, okay. Here they will discuss about the points, okay. Generally, they will in Databricks we will have a cost center, okay, CC in short form, okay. That is nothing but cost center. So this is they will create one ID. Okay. That ID they will associate in the cluster. Okay. Under that cluster, when you are running this, right? So it will calculate to the, for example, I'll give you the current meter, right? Current meter. Okay. This meter, whenever you are using the power, right? So it will rotate the meter, correct? And it will generate the points. Based on the point, for each point, they will charge 1.1 rupee something change, I hope, right? Anyone has idea? For one point, how much they charge? For example, for 1.2 rupees, for example. Let's assume like this. If you are utilizing 150, okay, then you need to pay 300 rupees, correct? Something like that. Here also there will be a points depending on how many hours you have used, okay, and depending on that, for example, per second they will charge the money, okay, how much seconds you have used per second. For example, if they are charging one rupee, and if you are using 60 hours, then 60 into 1 rupee, I mean, sorry, 60 seconds into, you need to convert it to seconds, and then they will charge the money to you guys, okay. So like this they will charge in this mainly, okay. Here, this permanent table, whatever we are creating, and this table we have to pay the money to them, okay, for the data storage. And this will be associated internally. What is this means? Time travel and fail safe. You see here, remember this point, okay. Full time travel up to 90 days. Okay, generally this time travel will be for each and everyone, right? I mean, in Snowflake, for each and everything, each and every table, by default, they will create for enterprise version, right? They will create a 90 days. Is it can be modified means yes, you can be modified. Okay. And this fail safe 7 days. Okay. First time travel and then fail safe. Once fail safe also done, and then you cannot retrieve the data. Okay. So that is one thing. And I have pasted below, I guess. Mm, mm. You see, permanent tables, you know, simple. Create or replace table, customer ID, integer, name, string, int. Store customer master data that must be retained long term with the full time travel and fail safe. This is nothing but actually, okay, already we have discussed here, right? Here, the query, whatever we have executed, okay, using this query, okay, we can go ahead and utilize the data. That also I will show you, okay. Either if it is possible in this class itself I will show you, or else, tomorrow, as I mentioned, right, tomorrow session I will collect all the different types of tables and the scenarios, and I'll explain. Okay, separate session. Hmm? Okay, so this particularly the data will be stored under the database, and this contains these two features to the table. Okay, so already we know, but you should remember this permanent table will be long term, and you will have a full 90 days of time travel and 7 days of fail safe. Definitely in interview they will ask this question. 100% they will ask the question. So that is the reason I am going slow to understand, you guys. And a transit table. Okay. So here if you see, create or replace transit table, staging order. There is nothing difference here. Okay. Views does not comes under, tables. Correct. View is a just a logical query that stores the query stores under database. Okay, but we are not storing the data. I'm just clarifying that. Okay, so view is completely different topic at all. Union views, those are completely different. When you are creating the table and when you are storing the data into the table, that contains the permanent tables. And here we are talking about transit table. Okay, so that syntax and everything will be same. There is no difference in the syntax. Only here you will be creating, instead of table. Okay, you will be prefix adding the transit table. Okay, transient table. Create or replace transient table, stage order, and use for ETL staging where data can be reloaded if lost. Save cost since failsafe is skipped. It means what? Generally, when you are creating this, in case if you are losing the data, okay, and if you want to reload the data, this can be used. And that too here, if you see, this point is very important. ETL staging. Okay. So this ETL staging is the starting layer when we are pulling the data from the file to a table. That is called a staging table. Okay. This area, okay, we can reload the data, means even using the permanent table also you can get. But for permanent tables, you will have a two features, time travel and failsafe. To get this time travel and failsafe, you need to pay the money to Snowflake team. That is the top important here, because this full time travel and failsafe also additional feature, right? So for that you need to pay the money additionally. Okay, why? Because in case if anything happened on the data, you can roll back by using the time travel and failsafe. That is the very important. But here what is happening in the time travel? Okay, and here in the permanent table you have a two features, time travel and failsafe. But when it comes to the transient table, you see, you are skipping the failsafe. Only you will have a time travel. Okay, so you are skipping this, and only you will have a time travel here to roll back the data. So this is one thing, one way of creating the table, and you will not have any fail-safe concept to this table. It will not applicable. And when you are not applicable this feature, then automatically you will be saving some money. So depending on the table whether it is really required or not. So based on that, yes, you can go ahead and create the table. Okay, and we will go through in depth as well. Okay, let's practice that also, but let me complete this theoretically first. And then in my queries, so many times I have used temporary tables. So many times I have used in procedures also. I have created a temporary tables. What is this temporary table means? If you see the syntax, very simple. Create temporary table name as, okay, this is select statement. Here you are not creating a table like permanent table or tangent table. So here you see create or replace table name we are using. Create or replace table name we are using, and later on we are inserting the data using the insert into command. Correct? But here you see create temporary table name as select star from date we are using. So this particular table will be like a ad hoc base. It means, for example, I have this session. Okay, this session I have, right? Now I will create a here temporary table. For example, once I created this temporary table, then the table will be there and data will be there, everything will be there. Okay, once if I log off my snowflake, then the table also will go vanish. It means you cannot able to find that. That is the advantage here. For example, some area you don't need to be store the data. For example, you don't need to store the data. So that case, right, yes, you can go ahead and create the temporary tables. The scenario also I'll tell you, okay, once when we start the project. Okay, that scenario also I will come and we can practice. So this, until unless this session is on, right, till that time the temporary table will be, we can, I mean, we can execute the data by seeing the tables, and we can, using the temporary table, we can load the data into permanent tables or transition table. Anywhere we can load the data. Okay. But the question here is, this will not be stored long term. That is very important. So you need to understand. You see here, run ad hoc analysis in a session. Table disappear automatically when the session ends. For this one, you will not have a time travel and you will not have a fail safe, because it is a till session will be, it is still be exist, and after that this will be vanish. You will not find anything. So if you see little bit upright, okay, here temporary table, okay. So here the existing only for the session, okay. What is this? Testing, one of calculation, so we don't need this. Private to a session, auto dropped at a session ends, support time travel up to 1 day, only 1 day. It means what? Generally, until unless, okay, if you close the session, automatically it will ends that. What we will do? We will create a temporary table, and then we will close the session and we will re-log in and see whether this table can be accessed or not, and we will use the time travel also, whether till 1 day it will work or not, that also we will see. Hmm? Okay, that is one thing here. So in general, I have not used transit tables, but I have used temporary table in my project. Permanent tables we have used and temporary tables we have used. Next, very important table. Okay, that is called external table. Okay, this is external table. Very important. Why this is very important? That yes, we will see now. Okay, so here metadata only, data store outside Snowflake. You see, this is the very important. That is what I said. It means, okay, this is your Azure. Okay, under Azure you have a Snowflake here. Okay, in this, right, you have created a permanent tables, and this will be stored under this storage and everything. Okay, now here you have created transient table, so that also it will be created here and stores here. and you have created a temporary table. You have created temporary table. Okay, you have created temporary table. That also it will be stored the data under Snowflake for session on. But now here you are creating a external table. Okay, external table. This external table metadata will only stores under Snowflake, but the data will be stored under Azure. Okay, so this is I told you, right, this is Azure. Hmm? Okay, and this is your Snowflake, correct? This is your Snowflake. Now under here you will have a Snowflake database. Under Snowflake database everything will be stored. But coming to the external table, here you will be creating a folder here. Okay, you will be creating a folder here. Under folder, you will be placing a file, mainly files here. Okay, files. You will be storing that file, and this file contains, for example, comma delimiter, for example. And for that folder, you will have some path, right? Path in the sense what? For example, this is my location. Okay, this is my location, right? I have placed here files, and when I click this you will get c colon backward slash cloud space something, right? Okay, for example, this is also one of the different path. C colon user honey download SIR, and user honey OneDrive document zoom, this is something one other folder. So this folder, okay, like this, the folder path and everything will be created here. This path we will give it here. Okay, when we are creating external table, at that time we will assign, I mean we'll give the path this file to here. So then whenever you are doing the select star from external table, right, at that time the data will be readed from this table, this folder from here to here, and it will display. But the data will not store. Okay. So that is the stage table. Okay. So and anyway, the Snowflake is installed under Azure platform only, right? So this will have a space here for you as well. Okay. So whatever, either you use the data space here, either you have to use the space here, you need to pay. But from outside the data, I mean, for example, when I explain this in detail in the project, that time you will understand. Oh, we have a less than 1 minute, and immediately you join other link. Okay, so this is you are not storing the data in the Snowflake database, correct? So it is you are redirecting. I mean you are indirectly reading the data from outside location to external. I mean you are giving a connection to them to read the data in the readable format. So that is the reason we called a external table. External table means data is not stored here. The data will be loaded in somewhere else, and we pull the data whenever we execute the select star from, so that it will read the data from the file itself. So here you cannot perform updates, you cannot perform deletes and everything. Only this is used for reading the data, because you are not storing this data in the Snowflake database, right? Permanent tables you can perform the updates and deletes. Transient tables you can perform the updates and deletes, but temporary table you cannot perform. This is also just a select statement. Okay, and external tables also same. Okay, we will see, because when we were discussing this topic, when we are picking this topic, always we have to be very care, or we have to think very smartly here is what is the difference between the our students and other students. That is very very main important my difference. Okay, so we have to see realistically, we need to think the answer. Okay, and we need to explain that he should appreciate, and he does not have a he should not have a reason for saying no. Okay, I have to select this guy, something like that. We need to convince him. To convince him, you need to give an answer in a different way so that he can uh, accept. Okay, so that is the reason I'm just trying to explain here is, so why this is mainly the difference. And you need to explain. Okay, you they will not ask each and everything. You have to explain the features of these tables. Okay, then only he will not have any questions as well. If you are giving a, if you are explaining and everything right, then why should he will ask the question. Okay, so that is one thing. Now here, okay, so here you see there is a examples this guy has given. Okay, what are the examples? AWS S3, Azure Blob, GCP storage. So in generally these are the famous cloud services or cloud platforms. So in AWS we called AWS S3 bucket. Okay, and here we called in Azure Blob location. Okay, binary large object. Blob means binary large object. S3 means just a name here is the we can call S3 bucket where the files will be stored. So here, for example, this is my one service where I can store the files, right? If I install the Oracle database here, for example, right, then I will store the data in my Oracle database. When I create an external table, I will use this file to read the data into the Oracle database. Similarly, here, how I explained, right? File will be stored under external, but you will be reading in the table format. Okay, so here you no need to create a you no need to insert the data statement and everything. You no need to create any DML statements. Okay, you can directly just use this as a select star from to create the data under I mean to read the data from the file. Okay, this is the external table. Okay, and this external table, does it contains any time travel? That is very important. We need to know. Okay. Maybe if I have not captured here, but generally you see here, read only useful for federated queries without ingesting data. It means what? Just for a reading purpose, it is very very useful. Okay. And without ingesting data means what? You don't require to source the data in the database. Okay, that is one thing. Hybrid table persist until dropped. So it is a kind of a transactional plus analytical workloads. It means what? This particular table optimized for fast read and write, support for hybrid OLTP, OLAP scenarios. Okay. So this is kind of a permanent table. Okay. This particular tables will be there until you drop. But this one, even I am not sure. Okay, what is the realistic scenario where we can use actually? But based on this, right, what he mentioned here is optimized for faster read and write, supports hybrid OLTP and OLAP scenario. And what is the cost, that also we have to think here. Okay, whether this difference between the hybrid table and permanent table, what is the cost, how they will charge, these things we need to know. And there is something we will see what is the syntax of creating the table. Hybrid table. Okay, so here also same. Okay, simple, create or replace hybrid table and table name, inventory table name. Manage real-time inventory when fast inserts and updates need to be needed alongside analytics. Okay. So this is can be kind of a same permanent table. Only the difference is what he's saying is here the performance will be faster compared to the permanent table. Okay, and this is something we need to know whether this guy will be charged more. Okay, that we need to know. That we will, let's see that. And the final table cost Apache iceberg table. Even I'm seeing this first time here because they have added, recently or maybe 1 year, 2 years or 3 years back. It seems I'm not sure. When I just checked, I didn't find this iceberg tables. This iceberg table is also something used in the data lakes. Ingest with a data lake using the open iceberg format for interpretability with other tools. I'm not sure this one. Okay, I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay, so this is something I need to know deeply. What is the use case of iceberg? But this is something I heard from one of my student. Right, he was telling about the iceberg tables. What is the main use that we need to know? Okay, so that is one thing. And here you see one example. Load raw files into external table. Example logs from S3. Okay. Stage data in transfer table, staging orders for cleaning the data. Use temperature for key session based analytics. Store clean and business critical data in permanent tables. Okay. Track real time inventory in hybrid tables. Share data with other platform via okay. Iceberg. Share the data with other platforms via iceberg tables. Okay, analytics and orders. Maybe. So I'll tell you how. Okay, so this is something, and here, okay, choosing the right table in different types. Okay, so permanent table we have told already. Okay, this is something which is really needed for the long term, and the in the short form here you see here they have given a mission critical data like a customer and finance data, whatever fact tables and everything. Transient tables best for the staging area or in intermediate ETL steps where recovery isn't essential. It means wherever we don't require a recovery, that area we can create a transient tables. Okay, this is also good. I'll tell you what we have done and whether we can able to modify this in our area. Okay, that also we can discuss. And temporary table, ideally session specific transformations and testing queries, and external when we data must retain from the external storage still to be queryable. Okay, this is something. Now, in real time, what we have created, I'll take. Okay, these tables. We are getting the some data, for example, sales data. Okay, anything you can take under sales data. This is our transactional data, for example. This is our transactional data is nothing but whatever business is happening day to day, right? Okay, day to day business. For example, under sales, you will get many things. For example, you have a small shop. Okay, under a small shop, you have a different types of products, and a customer will be coming to your shop and purchasing some products, right? Similarly, you will be creating. Let's take DMart. It is the best, DMart. So under DMart, everyone they used to go every day, right? And whenever if they purchase the product, if you see the bill, right, okay, you will have a customer ID. Okay, and the unique ID will be there. Under unique ID, how many products you have purchased and what is the actual product and what is the how much percentage they have given and what amount you have saved, everything they will give you in small slip, right? That too in the in the small page, and they will give all the details, and finally total amount and how much you saved and everything they will give you. Correct. So that kind of a data every day, because every day needs someone, they need some products and something they need it, right? To get that, they require the, they need to store the data, this information to know at the end of the month, so they can calculate how much business happened. Correct. So that kind of a data to store, right? You need the data. So if you see the sales, okay, how much sales happened today, how much sales happened yesterday, so how much sales end of the month, how much sales happened and what is the profit, everything to know, you need a transaction data. So this transaction data generally you will be getting, okay, generally you will be getting via file. Okay, so some upstream system, okay, some other system we called upstream system, okay, some other system, okay, they will provide this information. This is first step in the project. First step in the project actually. This raw file they will provide, this raw file they will provide in, okay, in text format, okay, and Excel format, it depending on the uh, it is depending on the system how they are providing and etc. Okay, so they will provide any kind of a format. So that file what we will do, okay, now we are using the cloud, right? That file we will be giving this kind of a location. We will give, if you are using AWS, we will give the S3 bucket location. If we are using the Azure, then we will give the blob location. If we are using the GCP, then we will give the GCP location. Okay, so that location we will share with the upstream system. Okay, so that upstream system, whenever they generate the file, automatically there will be an intermediate tool that will push the data from their system to our system. Okay, then you will get the data in your storage that is either AWS or that is Azure or that is GCP. So in this environment, which one you are choosing, depending on that, they will share the data here. So once it is done, okay, generally we can view the data. For example, I have this is my file, for example, customer ID, customer ID, customer name. You have the data like this. Under data, you have something you have a data like this. Okay, so in the file, once you get the data in the file, yes, you can view the data using the notepad plus plus. Generally in notepad you can view the data. For example, you have some hundreds of columns, you have some 1 GB data. Will you able to open and see where what data I have? So it is very difficult, correct? But the data will be sent to in this location. From here you will be creating an external table to find that. So we will see that how this will be created. The first step in the project, what we do, first we will get the raw file from our upstream system, and the file will be stored under location, that either it is a S3, either it is a blob, either it is a GCP storage, depending on which environment, which is a cloud platform you are aligning with them. Okay, so now here, do I have any external table format? Let's see. Syntax I'm looking for. You see here, create or replace external table, okay, and a table name, event string, timestamp with, you see, location at the rate my stage file format is type equal to CSV. Now I will give you one scenario. Okay. For example, let me see. I'm just typing. This is how it will be created. You see, like this it will be created. Create or replace. Okay, integration into type external stage. This is something storage account location. So you will have a container. Okay, Azure container blob core window.net ABC sales. This is my path, right? This is my path, and this is the Azure details. What is this Azure details? For example, I'll show you here. Um, Here you see app.snowflake.com. Mm, no, not this one. You will get separate uh, Azure. Okay, let me show you. Okay, something like this you will create. Sorry, this. Just give me a minute. This is the actual table. Okay, this is the actual table. Create or replace stage Azure storage integration Azure in, and this Azure your container blob window.net and APC. Okay, this is the format we will be creating, and you can able to read the data, and then define a file format. Okay, so if it is a CSV, then you need to mention this is a CSV, and if you file optionally enclosed by double quotation in case if you get, and skip header one, because in general in a file you will get the header as well. Okay, to exclude the header you need to use skip header and something. Okay, so something like that, this um, you need to create it, and this is the actual table with the location of Azure storage, file format, CSV, and yeah, this is your final table. Okay, so which we are going to create. So this Azure storage stage and everything we have right here. So that is the external location where we are giving. So this information will be stored under our table metadata. Okay, and when you do the select star from table, okay, then you will get the data. But here, if you drop the table, for example, okay, table will be dropped, but the data will be exist in the external table, because this that is completely different. Okay, so just you are giving a link between the snowflake table and this path, so that you can do the select star from table. For example, it's kind of a view. Okay, I mean, I'm just telling you to understand. So here you have a base table, correct? And on top of that you are creating a view to see the data. Means here if you drop the table, here you will not find any data when you trigger the view, correct? It will say that there is no data or table is does not exist. If you drop the view, the your base table you will be having in your database. So same way here also it is something, it is a raw file, and on top of that you are creating a stage table. So if you drop the stage table, your raw file will be there, because these are all independent. If you remove this one, you will have a table in metadata. If you query the select star from stage, you will find, you will not get any data, but it will execute the query. So kind of this is kind of a similar topic, but the difference is it will be reading from the base table to view the data. Here it is reading the file to view the data using the stage concept. So this is very very important. Why? Because why very very important? Because in the first step itself, you will not get directly, you will not source the data in the permanent tables in Snowflake. No. First, you will be storing the data. You will be creating the external table to read the data from the S3 bucket or blob or GCP storage. Then you using this table, on top of that you will be creating like this, because you will, you have created, for example, this is your external table. This is your external table. Once you created external table, you need to create a stage table. Okay, that stage table, how will you read the data into how will you load the data into stage table from external table? You need to write into insert into my stage table, and select a star from external table. Then the data will be loaded into the stage table from external table. Correct? So this is my first step of stage table. This is my first step of stage table. After that, you will be creating the intermediate tables. Those intermediate tables are nothing but your stage table. Intermediate tables. Okay, these are all intermediate tables which will store the data into the stage table. From stage table you will have a final step, which is stores the data into the fact tables. Okay, and this is very very important for us. This table is very very important, and these are all important, but these tables are intermediately what we will do, we will be always overwriting the data. Either you write a insert overwrite, or you use a truncate and insert the data. Truncate table name stage. Okay, so something like this. So and then insert the data, but finally here you will be loading the data into the fact table. So now this is your external table. So it is very very important, you need to know external table, how it will be created, and what is the format for each file. It means CSV you will have a different format, Excel you will have a different format, because it has to sync with the your metadata table and path. Then only it will read the data. If you are giving a Excel file and you are telling that no, this is a CSV, the format will be wrong and you cannot able to read the data. Okay, so these things we will discuss once we practice Azure or Snow this AWS. Okay, this is the permanent table. Sorry, this is the external table. The path how it can be created. Okay, so that is one thing. Now, what else we have here? Okay. So now transient table, which the concept here, right? Okay, this transient table he was telling. Okay, this transient table, staging table, ETL intermediate data sets, lower cost, limited time travel, 1 day max, good for data can be regenerated. It means the this particular variables, okay, or stage tables is, we can use transient table because every time you are getting anything, right? So here you will just have the time travel, okay, but you will not have the you will save the money here. Here also you are here are, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know why it disconnected. Okay, okay, so this intermediate tables can be created transient table to save the money. Okay, yeah, this is the one of the good feature to use transient tables. Okay, and fact table, it should be a permanent table because we have to have these features. Okay, time travel and files fail safe, these are all mandatory to have a features. So for these tables, why? Because in case if anything happen also, you can recover the data, okay, even after 90 days. In case if you need it, then you will have a 7 days of time to recover the data using the failsafe as well, in case, right, that feature you have in snowflake. So these are the different types of tables what we have in our snowflake. Okay, and what you only one pending thing is iceberg. Okay, this iceberg table I need to understand. Based on the definition I understood, this table mainly used for the other environment to share the data. Okay, that is what I understand. But we need to deep dive what where we use and uh, how that can be utilized and what is the cost level. This is benefit. Okay, that we need to see. And in the next session as well, what we need to do here is we need to understand, we need to create each and every table and see how this can be uh, benefited. Now we need to understand what is the benefit of each and everything, right? So here these two tables we understood. And okay, let me create here itself. Okay, so hmm, yeah, here let me choose the database first. Yeah, yes, create table. Okay, I'm just giving one temporary with the p, yeah, permanent table. And here I'm giving emp number 10 comma, okay, ename varchar 2 comma 20. Okay, I'm just giving this. This is my permanent table. Okay, you can use create or replace in case if you want to replace the table. Okay, and the same table which I'm going to use, create table name with transient table. Here I'm giving tn, okay, with the same different. And okay, this is my temporary table. Okay, but I cannot create a temporary table like this. Okay, let's see, both I need to practice. And this is here stage table, I need the location under. Okay, it will not create a external table that much easy. you need to know and each and everything. So that we will discuss in the other class. And here what else we have? Hybrid table. Okay, so this hybrid table we will discuss. Create or replace. Let me take the same thing here. No, I don't want this. I will use same. Hybrid table. HB, and this is TM, temperature. Now let me execute this. Table created. Okay, transient table, that also will be created. Temperature table, this is also created. Okay, now hybrid table. Hmm? Hybrid table must contain primary key. Okay, let's see. Now select start from emp underscore pm permanent table. Okay, this is tm and this is tm. Correct. Tm. Now you see here, either if you have the data, you will get the result, otherwise, okay. Query produce no results. That is fine. Now I'm just creating tm. Okay, and this table, no results. Okay, this is fine. Now here, let's go under database. You see here, PM, TM, and TN. Okay. Now let's go to the definition. You can see the create replace table, right? And here TM. Okay. Temporary table. Definition: create or replace temporary table. These things. Okay. And here definition of transient table. Okay. These three tables we created. Now what I will do? I will just log off. Okay. Now and again sign in. Azure WH. I'm logging and let me see here. Now let's go to the database. Okay. Let me see again. This will be executed or not. Okay, executed, no result. Okay, and executed, no result. Okay. Compilation error, object emptemp does not exist or not authorized. You see here. You see PM, TN, transit table, permanent table. You see it. Temporary it was. No, but your system you have not logged off, right? But what I have done, I have logged off this is snowflake and relog enter, right? So this means the session, it is, I have overwritten the session. So temporary table has been vanished. So like that. So yes, even in real time also, when you are creating a temporary table, till that query or SP procedure executing, right? Till that time, the table will be showed, and that data cannot be read in another person also. For example, I have created my own temporary table. Okay, you created your own temporary table. You created your own temporary table. Can I access your temporary table means no, because the session will be created under your user account ID and my session will be created under my session, right? Now I cannot read your table and the same I cannot read here this others also. You cannot also my temporary table. But okay, that is fine. Now I am creating one temporary table under one user. Can I use multiple areas means that I am not sure. Why I am not sure? Because generally, yeah, this temporary table got vanished. So like this, and I was just checking in the Google as well. Okay, in Copilot, and you see here. Okay, so this particular table, right? It is only the session scope, and a temporary table exists only within the session that created it. Once the session ends, the table is automatically dropped. Share with the same session. Multiple stored procedures can access the same temporary table if they run in the same session. And it is something very difficult actually. Okay, even what I am thinking, okay, whenever this stored procedure runs, right, it will create a separate run ID. Okay, and other stored procedure also when it is creating, right, it will create a separate run ID. But that run ID and this run ID will be different, but the user account will be same. Okay, that time if the same procedure, if any procedure gets executed and first, completed first, the other session, if it is using the data, then the data won't be exist. Something like that also. So we need to deep dive this. See, this is the question they will ask. For example, this kind of a question they will ask. How I have a two SPs and I have used one same temporary table. Okay, and one SP is running and this SP also running. And I created this temporary table. This temporary table also I have used in this stored procedure. Now, if this stored procedure gets executed, completed successfully, will I read the data or not? And in another set, another stored procedure. Okay, something they will try to confuse you guys. Okay, so these kind of answers we need to be ready, uh, for the interview. Okay, that is very very important. And hybrid table also we will execute, but when we are executing, right, we get the primary key issue, right? So that primary key we need to assign it. Okay, so to get that we had here syntax. um, Primary key. You need to mention this primary key here. Okay. So just to create a primary key here. Primary key. You need to define data type space primary key. Okay. Then it will execute. Hybrid tables are currently not available to trial account. Very good. Okay. See, this is not available for us. Only in real time you will have. I mean, even if I purchase the license version, then they will give it to us. Okay, so this is one thing. And I'm not going to discuss on the external table for now. On this one, then I will explain this. Okay, and this is the temporary tables. And once we created a S3 bucket, then I will show you to read the data from file to a table. Okay, this is very very important. uh, in any project, right? Either you will be using Azure, either you will be using AWS. Okay, so for the whoever here sitting, right, I will show them offline. Okay, how this will be created. And now, Jakir, you can stop this. Okay. I just wanted to take the other, I want to